Right now, we thank you everybody who is watching us right now on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on YouTube. Um, I am J JD Rosario. How do I stumble on my own name? I'm JD Rosario from Unstoppable Comics, and I'm here hanging out with Marvin Wynn from The Edge. More specifically, your brand is called what?
Comicsburg,
Comicsburg. Out of where?
Pittsburgh.
I see it runs hand in hand with each other, right? And you were let's not bury the lead, right? Where were you last week?
So last week we did the retailer summit convention, whatever you want to call it, Comicspro.
Okay. Oh, hold on. Somebody's showing up. I apologize. I
Man,
shouldn't have let him come in as you were talking about what you're doing.
yeah, I know. Mute him
Whatever.
for the show. Keep him muted.
He's muted. He's muted. All right. So I'm sorry. You last week you were at
Comicspro.
you were
So Comicspro is the only, as far as I know, retailer summit for comics. So it covers the whole world.
okay.
So retailers from around the world descend on a location,
Is it
and
the same place every year?
no. So this was the first one in 3 years. So they
Oh,
since COVID, they
right.
haven't done one in
Right.
person. They did it online before. So I believe the last ones were in Portland, and they decided to come to Pittsburgh this year. I would assume because it's cheaper in Pittsburgh, and it's kind of a good thing they did that because that Thursday, I believe, Portland got 14 inches of snow.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Oh
so a
wow.
bunch of people who were supposed to come in didn't make it
Didn't
in.
make
So they had to do virtual presentations.
All right. So I'm reading a press release from the from Marco Davanzo, right? And
Yeah.
I guess he's the lead over there,
Yes.
right, at Comics Pro. And like you were saying, they had their first in-person meeting in 3 years. They had over 300 publishers,
Hmm.
and they had four distributors. Those four distributors are Diamond, Penguin Random House, Lunar, and Universal.
Yeah.
And for those of us in self-publishing, we know that these are the guys. These are the teams
Hmm.
that distribute our books into shops,
Right.
right? And Marvin, you're in one of them, right?
All right. Well, we're in Diamond right now, but I mean, we'll talk. We can talk about distribution because Universal did break some news at the show
Okay.
that might be interesting for other
And
people.
for those of us watching that are not familiar with Universal, they're more of a Canadian distributor, right?
Right, right. Currently, they only distribute to books into Canada. They are not allowed to distribute into the United States at present time.
Really?
Yes, because they only have offices and warehouses in Canada, so they're not allowed to cross the border.
Okay.
And actually, the funny thing about it is that a question came up at the show. Someone said, "So, if you're in Canada, how do I get books if I'm in LA?" And they said, they pretty much came out and said straight up, you don't even try it, don't think about it, don't do it.
Right.
They
So you
said,
got to send to, I guess, a central landing plane. Okay.
yeah.
So how many days was this conference?
It was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We didn't go on Saturday because we had a show at Penn State.
Okay.
Saturday and Sunday, so we missed what happened we missed anything that went down on Saturday.
Okay.
And from what I was told is that no one slept because it was in a hotel, so everybody had a room in the hotel. So they were up 2-3 in the morning partying and jabbering and talking about everything.
Gotcha.
So,
That's what most industry people do, right?
right,
It's
right.
what do they call it, Calderon? Barcon. Every convention has
Yeah.
has a Barcon at night.
But this was
conventions are barcode.
most people not even making it back to their rooms, kind of thing.
Oh man, you got to do business. All right. So for those who've never gone to Comics Pro, does it look like a regular convention?
No.
Okay. What's the biggest difference?
The difference is that you get pretty much two opportunities with retailers and publishers.
Okay.
There's a room set aside, and you spend maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours in that room while everyone comes in and walks around and talks to you, et cetera, et cetera. That's pretty impersonal, and it's a little not useful somewhat because it's so noisy because it's such a small room.
Okay.
So you're pretty much in someone's face yelling at them, and you're trying not to spit in their face when you're talking to them.
So when they're coming around, what do you got set up in front of you?
So I mean, we had it set up like a convention. We had
Okay.
like the books out on the table. I was giving away anyone who. So just to do a rewind, there's an app Hoover that you got to set up. So on the Hoover app, you set up a virtual booth, which has like you put up a video. You can show pictures of your product, and you have access to everyone who's going to the convention. So of all the retailers, all the publishers, I have direct access to them through this app, so I can send messages. So when I first got access to it, I started messaging people right away. So it's like someone came up to me and said, "Hey, you're Marvin, right?" He says, "Yeah." Like you were jumping on that app pretty quick. I said, "Yeah, I was."
You got to do business. You got to do business, man.
Exactly. So people who knew who I was already, so I'm like, oh, so that makes it useful. Like they knew because like you can trade like contact information. Like you can scan a business card and then share with other people, stuff like that.
All right. So at this year's Comicspro, some of the vendors and creators that were there, just to name a few, right? And this is coming from the Comicspro press release. All right. A Wave Blue World, Anomaly Publications, AWA Studios, Bad Idea Comics. I thought they were over. Who knew? They're back. Battle Quest Comics, BCW Supplies, Bink, Boom Studios, Cartoonists, Kayfabe, CEX Publishing, Comics Hub, Comicsburg. I know somebody from Comicsburg. Dark Horse, David Daub. David, what's up? I know he's doing a flower show today, so he would have liked to have been here. DC, Devil's Due, Dynamics.
Maybe Dynamite?
Maybe Dynamite. I don't know. They put down Dynamics.
Dynamics is a new publisher, I believe.
Their new publisher. Okay. IDW, Image, Iron Guard Supplies, which is a subsidiary of Jeppy Enterprises that owns Diamond. Manage Comics, Marvel, Oni, Opus Comics, PR Penguin Random House. Okay. Reed Pop, Rocket Ship Entertainment, Saturday AM, Scholastic, Silver Sprocket, Skybound. Notice how Skybound had a separate entry from Image.
Yeah.
I don't know. Source Point, TCG, Universal, Valiant, Volt, Viz 8, Viz Media, Yen Press, and Zenesco. We're familiar with some, and we're not familiar with many.
Right. So just to rewind, Viz 8
Speak for yourself.
Is Kevin Van Hook. If you know Kevin Van Hook, he's the creator of Bloodshot.
Oh, okay.
So he came past the table, and like I had a good talk with him. So
okay,
yeah.
Nice. All right. So you're set up in this room, and you got how long to talk to these people?
On Thursday we did it. It was Thursday late afternoon, so it was 2 hours because we started early, and then on Friday morning was like an hour and a half.
Okay, so you're already making contact before Comicspro goes down. Hey, I'd like to have a few minutes with you. We're going to be in the room at 2:00 until 4.
Right.
Okay.
All right. And hold on, JJ, give me a second. Hold on, because I got in a little late.
You did get in late. I don't know.
I did.
It would have helped for over a week.
No,
okay.
No, it wasn't. But Marvin, just to preface this, how much did it cost you? What did you have to do to get the booth?
Okay.
Or to get that spot? Like what did it take for you to get
right?
Into
so that was one of the things that I really wanted to preface on something like this, is that this could be very cost prohibitive to a creator. And we got lucky, and market took pity on us. Maybe because we're from Pittsburgh. But if you go onto the website, you can see the pricing. The sitting at a round table to speak with retailers, which was the second part I was going to talk about. So there were round table sessions where you sit at a table, and every 10 minutes or so, a new retailer group will come in, sit at your table, and you get to pitch them and talk to things like that.
Okay.
$1,200.
$1,200.
Yes.
Now, this is just for that round table discussion.
Correct.
So to sit in the room, it's also how much?
The table and things like that was $600, I want to say.
All right, so right now you're in for $1,800.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then if you do a presentation?
Presentation started at $1,500, I believe.
Okay. So right now that is what
300.
33.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So
if you want to do the full shebang.
Right. So the if you do the presentation, the round table and everything else is included.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So how long do you get for a presentation?
Up to 16 minutes.
All right. Did you see anybody's presentation?
I watched all of them.
Oh, okay.
And Image, like most of their presentation was Radiant Black. And
Gotcha.
I don't know if people are reading that book, but you probably should be, because it's really good. And what they're doing a lot of cross media. So they're doing a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing like a lot of things popping up on their Facebook and their Twitter that it ties into
Image specifically, or Radiant Black specifically?
Just Radiant Black. Like most of their presentation was on Radiant Black.
Really? With all the stuff that Image puts out.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think that this is their flagship. If it's not, it's going to be pretty soon their flagship title. Like Spawn was before Radiant Black now.
Interesting. Now, out of all of the people who are presenting, which is the one that you saw you were like that you either learned the most from or most impressed you?
Boom. Boom is
so. Ross and Philip were there.
Yeah. Boom is
right. So those who don't know, Ross Ritchie is the head guy over there at Boom, and Philip Sablik is the editor in chief.
Yeah.
Or is the publisher? Well, he's the number 2 guy.
Right.
Okay.
Because they're doing everything in their power to embrace the shops and the people who go to shops.
Okay.
So every book in their line is for everyone. So there's a book. So their whole entire thing is there's a book for everyone. And in their presentation, I think they pretty much put that out there that they have a book for everyone. They're going to start doing a lot of interactions on social media like TikTok, Twitter, and what's the other one? Reddit, to get people in the comic shops. So they're doing everything they can.
So is Image doing that same thing?
Yes.
Okay.
And DC is finally embracing that movies and comics exist in the same ecosphere. And you'll notice that I don't know if it started with Shazam or Flash. They're showing comics at the end of all the trailers.
Right.
So they're doing
that for a little bit. I think the last 3, maybe 4 movies.
Yeah. So they're actually doing comic ads that'll be showing on HBO Max and whatever you're using for regular TV. I know they don't have CW anymore. Whatever they're doing is that there's going to be ads popping up everywhere for comics and your local comic shop, et cetera, et cetera.
Let's take a quick moment to recognize some of the people that are watching us and chatting right now. We're looking at David Flynn. He's like, "Yo, what's up?" Heroinberg, any relation to Comicsburg? Maybe we were at Comicspro too. Hail to Marvin and both JDs. What's up, Heroinberg? Marco Davanzo is the lead of Comicspro, and he's also the owner of Alakazam Comics in Irvine, California. Good to know. It came from the radio. What's up, Mark? Canadians smuggling comics is the new mule. All right. David Flynn comes back and he's like, Jay, at the border, they check if you have comics, and I only had you. On you. And I had brought some on my trip. Okay. Some people stayed up to 5 a.m. on the 17th floor, according to the guys from Richmond Comics. All right, let's roll that back. That's an opinion. We're not endorsing anything that we weren't there to see. Dynamite actually wasn't there. I think they had a booth at the Penn State Con. Okay. And they were doing Barbarella, Ash Cans, and Vaporella variants. We saw all the presentations. They were all 60 minutes long. And many of the publishers lead heavily on their flagship books, like Marvin said. Okay. And the owners of Richmond Comics said on their Post Comic Pro video that Boom is the best publisher as of far, promoting with stores, which is ironic in my opinion, because Boom is one of the most successful comic publishers to have crowdfunded.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that draws ire from a lot of retailers.
So that came up too. And it actually, pushed us to do a sit down with a few retailers.
Okay.
So I set up a like a retailer to creator connection on the app and invited people to come over and chat with us about this. And one of our partners, DP, commented that we should educate retailers on crowdfunding, and one of the retailers got upset on the app.
On the app.
Yeah,
Okay.
he made a comment that I think was a little off. He's like, "What do you mean you need to educate us?" So I had to educate him on what education means.
Gotcha. Okay. Bring him up to speed.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's always about educating ourselves and learning from each other. Like that's what this meeting was supposed to be about. Is like we need to learn what works for you, what doesn't work for you, what works for us, what doesn't work for us. We didn't see him at the show, so I don't know. So I can't really comment on it. We never got to talk to him, so I don't know.
But he was there.
I don't know if he was there or not. I didn't see him.
All right. Well, I know they feel that. Well, excuse me. This is an opinion. Let me state that right at the beginning. Opinion. Comic shops don't want to compete with another vendor, right? And if people are buying their books through a crowdfunding app, they don't feel that they should be carrying those very same books, which probably won't sell in their store because they were sold on a crowdfunding app. Now, I can understand that, but from an independent publisher's point of view, I see it as we're not raising advertising funds to cover a lot of our overhead. So if we can get the books printed at cost, covered by a crowdfunder, then why not do it? So that way we can bring it out into the greater atmosphere. I mean, Calderon, you feel the same or no?
What? Moi?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it depends. If you can align, your crowdfunders with shipments to Diamond, you understand, which some publishers have attempted to do. And, it's a very hectic thing to do, especially if you're running a monthly. So you got to run the crowdfunder and run it monthly. And, you got to make sure you have all your barcodes and everything set in place. But I mean, it can be done. It's just very difficult. I mean, but it's definitely, I think, something worth producing. I think the way Marvin is running it, if you run it quarterly, that might be a way that might be an option moving forward.
Right.
The only thing is you only have so many crowdfunders you can do. So many. There'll only be. There's only so many things you can do with that stretch of time. So, but yeah.
So let me go back to Marvin with the 15-minute round table discussions. How many waves of retailers did you see in those 15 minutes? I mean, yeah.
I want to say there were. I don't want to say how many retailers there are because I didn't really count how many different people had the name tags for the stores on it.
Okay.
I probably have to go through the app and I could probably tell you how many how many stores were there, and how many retailers there were. Okay. There were at least 100. I want to say 120 people, and then another 18 were at home, so in home. So,
right. So the ones that came up to your table, how many different times did they shift them in and out?
That's. I mean, it's every 10 minutes. 3 people every 10 minutes.
3 people every 10 minutes. So you saw about what? Maybe 20?
Yeah, about
21. Okay, 21. All right.
So,
all right.
I mean, if you let me jump in, all right, now in these discussions, what would you consider the most prescient thing that the retailers were most concerned about? Like, what were they coming at you at? With what was their biggest concern, basically?
I mean, I think that where these things boil down to is, can I move that book?
Right.
And I think
we worry about too. Right.
That's always going to be our sticking point. And I think that a lot of the times that I think, like Harold Berg was saying, is that Richmond Comics gave us probably the best advice of the show. And it's something they brought up on their own video, is that they likened it to a movie theater. So when a movie comes out in the movie theater, who does all the press for that? The theater doesn't do a thing. They sell the popcorn. That's all they do.
Right.
The stars, the editors, the producers, the director are the ones that are marketing these books. So in that kind of instance, it's up to us to market our book to every store that it appears in, which is really difficult to do when you don't know which store your books are in.
Right.
So unless
you mentioned last time That was proprietary information.
Right.
Yeah.
So and so that comes back to the old direct option.
Right.
And
Now, you guys are bringing this up. I come. Part of my background is the beer vending world, right? So I sold beer to bodegas, supermarkets, and bars. All right. And I remember when we would be doing a promotion for a bar, and there was a radio spot. The radio spot, which was expensive, promoting the beer, a portion of those costs were covered by the bar.
Yeah.
So it's not like, in my opinion, from where I come from, no one party should carry the entire financial load.
Right.
So if I am going to promote this book in your store, all right, but don't just sit there. I mean, excuse me, if you're making love to somebody, are you just going to lay there in the bed, or are you going to participate in the actions?
Yeah, but you also have to remember, though,
go
to go in with your sample there. They have many partners. Right, so it becomes a little stressful. It becomes stressful on that one person on the team.
That's a great analogy. I'm with you.
There are many partners, so it might be difficult for them to get into bed with quite so many publishers.
Right. And I think that's one of the leaners is that, and this is why things like YouTube are important, in that when I'm marketing something to a store or to a person who's going to that store, why don't I just make a YouTube video and send it to the store and have them play it in the store?
Okay, but how many of them have screens up that can do that?
From talking to people, some.
Okay.
Not
now,
most,
I know some stores, successful stores, do have newsletters to their customer base.
That was brought up too. Yeah.
Okay. So why not put up, something like a presentation that they can use on their YouTube? On their newsletter.
Right.
With a little video.
And their YouTube, they can upload you can send them the video, or you can send them the clip, and they can upload it to their YouTube channel.
Right. Because you can personalize something.
Right. So that was something we were asking too, is that do you have a YouTube channel? And most of them said, some of them said yes, some of them said no, some of them said we're trying to go there. They just don't have the bandwidth to do it. But what we also noticed was a lot of these stores are hiring younger people.
Okay.
Who can do those TikToks and YouTubes and things like you. Richmond Comics has someone that just does shorts on YouTube continuously. I get a message, I get like an alert every day of their social media person who's just doing social media on their channel.
Oh, well, I think I'm going to be following Richmond Comics.
Yeah.
If that's it, Richmond Comics, or they got, Richmond's Toy and Hobby, or
I think it's just Richmond Comics, COMIX.
Okay.
I'll link you up. But I think that's where a lot of successes and a lot of failures are, is that how are you reaching your customers if they're not walking into that shop? You have to do a legwork to get people to recognize that you are there, because a lot of shops is foot traffic. So if someone's walking past, hey, there's comics. What if no one's walking past that day? Right. How do they know that there's a comic shop in their city if they never walk past it?
Right.
Mm-hmm. But here's an issue I think all of us as publishers have to acknowledge and think about, is like, okay, so you got Richmond Comics. I'm sure it's a fantastic store, great store, great people, whatever. But the issue that I have is investing so much time with any one particular retailer is, how many books am I going to sell through that retailer? Right? Am I going to sell 5 books? Am I going to sell 10 books? How much of my time do I have to spend marketing to them to sell those 10 books? Right. Am I going to spend 30 minutes? Am I going to spend an hour? Am I going to spend 2 hours? Am I going to spend 5 hours? I'm getting notifications. Right. Well, right? Then if you're talking about 200 or so retailers, you don't have a life.
Right. Well,
life is over.
That's where you don't personalize the video. You let them handle that. You let them do the
or you do. Let's say it's a 10-minute video that you're recording to promote your stuff that they're going to put out there, right? You do a 7-minute generalized video. And then for those that are your highest purchasers, right, you spend those last 3 minutes tailoring it to them maybe 10 or 15 times.
That's That's still a lot of effort to sell 10 books, bro. I mean, you got to understand that's a lot of effort.
Yeah. I get it. But what are we not doing as independent publishers?
We're not putting our books Tankobon style, and we're not putting them in Walmarts. That's what we're not doing.
That's not the only factor.
That's only one of many. That's one of many.
Right? That's one.
I mean, you could just pull up in front of Walmart and sell your books in front of the store.
That
right?
is true.
That's true. But you want to get them in 18.
Like the Girl Scout group, they just set up a table and
yeah, but you do want to get 1,800 of them, not just the one. You know, I'd just be in the parking lot. I agree.
All right, so let me go back this. Let me back this up a second because I'm writing notes here. All right, so a 2-hour table setting, for 2 times for 2 different days, so a total of 4 hours. That's 600 bones. At least it was this year. Yes.
Yes.
Right. The 15-minute or 10-minute table sessions. That's 1,200 for the one-on-one time. Right. Yeah. And then there's an additional 15-minute presentation charge for $1,800.
Right. Yeah, but but if you do the presentation, the other
everything's rolled in.
Oh, so you're not going to be spending 33?
No, you'd be spending 1,500.
Right.
No, you'd be spending 1,800.
No, he said if you buy the $1,500 package, everything else is included.
Yeah, if you the presentations are all.
Jay, you're supposed to listen. This is your podcast.
I'm not only my listener, I'm taking notes, brother.
So the 16-minute presentation is $3,000, and then the costs go down.
You see, you're incorrect. All right.
So he just gave us new information.
There you go.
I've included more information into the discussion. Yeah.
Right. So you're saving $300.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
But I mean, then you hotel, blah 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 blah, food.
Right. But if it's in Pittsburgh, it's your backyard, you're good to go. The two of us being in New York, that's a hefty charge. All right. The question that started this whole shebang, right? The one that's in the blurb is, should indie pros attend a Comic Pro? You were there.
Yeah.
What do you think?
So just as a kicker on that one, there were 4 creators there, including the 3 of the Comicspro team.
Okay.
David was the other one. No one else. And I thought I saw a few people on Facebook saying that they were going to attend, and then a few said they were going to try to attend next year. So, I mean, I think to me that it's a good idea because not only are you getting in front of all the retailers they're in a captive session where they can't go anywhere because they've probably been drinking, but you get to see what other publishers are doing, and you can take notes on what Boom is doing, what Image is doing, Marvel, DC, et cetera, just to see how you can either entice retailers or to get a leg up on a few other people that aren't at the show. So, and that's that, yes. But again, as I said, it could be cost prohibitive for a single person to want to do this because you may not see that return right away. And if you're not already having a relationship and dealing with stores, then it's probably not.
All right. Now, see, you're bringing this up, and I'm torn. I'm torn because I want to have a leg up on Calderon. Right. So I do it. So I know that information. The problem is I really like his wife, Daphne. So I'd rock and roll with her. But the thing is, they're a couple. So she's going to share that information with him. I don't want to keep her away from this because we all know she's the brains of the operation over there. Right. Okay. I mean, he can't deny it.
Right.
Never.
So then what we probably look at it this way is that, does it make sense for the indie guys to pull their shit together and do it yourself?
Right. Yes or no?
Yes. And I mean, I'm starting the ball rolling on that. I'm going to talk with Hoover, and I think that's what you want to use for something like this is an app that allows you to chat with people, have a community chat. You can do all your presentations and your videos all through this app, and just to see how things work out. Because in this kind of instance, is that is that more cost effective for someone if you don't have to travel or have to pay a lot of money to sit down with people? I mean, we can entice some retailers into it because we've got relationship with them always.
Right.
I mean, wouldn't be able to guarantee how many, but we'll hit the line out there. And you see that we had already started talking about this on Facebook a while ago, and really retailers were interested.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
but Plan C turned into something totally other than what it was meant to be. So Calderon, let me ask you this question, coming out of what Marvin said. Can indie people get their shit together to attend Comicspro?
Well, you got to remember, I mean, out of 100, there's 2 or 3, sure.
Okay. Right.
You know, you'll always have a percentage, you know, that will be able to get this shit together.
Right.
I mean, but look, I mean, the real question is there any benefit to what we're doing, right? It depends what we're doing and how we're doing it, right? What Marvin is doing, currently going through Diamond, that is a benefit. That's an add to what he's doing, right? To what I'm doing currently, it doesn't make any sense because I'm currently not focused in that direction. I'm primarily focused just on Kickstarter and possibly a few of the other crowdfunding, platforms. So that's my focus. So this sort of thing probably wouldn't be for me just yet. If I eventually decide to move in that direction, maybe. But things have to mature. I mean, like it's not like I'm not mature enough. Like things need to mature just a little bit more.
The stores have to.
So let me ask this question, going back to Marvin. Being an indie publisher that does single issues, did you face a lot of pushback from retailers?
No.
You didn't?
No.
Okay, so and I want to quote someone who was a very outspoken retailer who said carrying an independent comic book in his shop is the equivalent of a mercy fuck.
You mean pity?
I mean, but I could see that, and like I said, that that's what I say. The Richmond Comics pretty much said that indies don't sell in their store. They said they're in a smaller area, like a suburb.
Indie single issues.
Period.
So indie
trades, anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I respect the honesty of something like that, saying that we like to take it. I don't know if we can sell it, and then that's fine. That's perfectly fine. But I don't give up. So.
Yeah, I mean the thing is everything is about culture, right? The culture that most comic book people are raised in is Marvel and DC.
Okay.
Sometimes Image, 1 or 2 Dark Horse books, right? Whatever. But this is the culture that we're raised in, right? And how many people do we know, right, other than ourselves, where we're curious about other things, right? You're not just like, I go to the movies, right? We all go to the movies, right? How many of us say, damn, they got to be different types of movies. Right. So you go watch indie movies. And then even then you're watching indie movies and you say, damn, they got to be different kinds of movies. So you got to watch foreign cinema, right? And then, you start off European, then you move over to Asian. You got Japan, you got movies from Thailand, you got movies from Korea, right? So how many people are that curious? You understand? And that's the problem. We're not cultivating fans who are that curious, who want to go from Marvel, DC to something different, because we're the something different, right? We're the minority. We're the something different. And I mean, and that for me is the most interesting question, is finding those people, because in every other culture that does comics, every other major culture, right? Japan and France primarily, they don't have superheroes as a dominant art form, right? That's and dominated by 2 specific companies. You go to France, you have every genre.
Go to France and it's Lupin. You go to Belgium and it's the Smurfs. I mean,
No. It's not just that. It's so much more. But that's okay.
Nothing. And you know what? And the indie crowdfunding market is rife with Cthulhu. You know what I mean? I mean,
Cthulhu and breasts. Okay.
right.
Like,
It's always going to be. Look, Calderon, you and I come from New York. Okay, you go to New York and there's a pizzeria.
I don't know. I've spoken to you for a while. I've been questioning you for a minute.
Oh, don't you dare! I'm gonna let you know right now, bro. You my man, bro. You my man. Never question my New Yorker. Never question. All right. Look, out here, there's a pizzeria on every goddamn block. There is. All right.
Chinese
and,
food.
right. You know,
Yes.
that's the one in the middle, and the burger joint or bar is on the other corner, right? And it's like, if they listen to the internet, there wouldn't be a pizzeria on every block, and yet they're still surviving.
Right.
You know,
because there's something comforting in that homogenous thing. We know there are variances in pizza, right? There's good pizza. There's typically not terrible pizza. You usually have some form of good somewhere in the middle, right?
Listen, I'll take 99-cent New York pizza over most state pizza that's out there. I really would. I mean,
no. But what I'm saying is, see, that's the problem though. Is you have people that get comfortable with this homogenous thing. That's Marvel. That's DC.
Okay.
You understand that people feel safe, they feel comfortable, right? They're like, oh, Superman, Spider-Man, Batman. But when they encounter Oswald, or they encounter Shield of the Interceptor, or they encounter the Edge, they're going, what's that? That's new. I'm scared. Right? I'm scared.
They're interested. Right?
They might be interested. Right. They might be interested, but they're also, you know, a little standoffish because it's new, right? Okay. And we don't have the history that these other companies have. Right? There's no gatekeepers for us, right? There's nobody saying, like, you know, I can sit back and say 95% of everything that Marvel and DC produces is trash, right? But they still got 5%. Frank Miller, John Byrne, John Buscema, I don't know, Alan Moore. There's tons of dudes who've come out and done incredible runs, who have that history. We don't have that caveat. You understand? So it takes us that much more to break through, right? And then those guys who have broken through, Dave Sim, Cerebus, Jeff Smith, Bone, Terry Moore, right? He has a whole bunch of books, Strangers in Paradise, so on and so forth, right? Those guys who have broken through, they're not in the business of bringing anybody up behind them the way they once did.
Right.
You know, Dave Sim back in the day brought up just about everybody. Right.
Well, we're talking about the 80s, and we're talking about Jeff Smith.
What? It doesn't matter. You understand? But nobody is turning around to the little guy anymore, and it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't have to be me. It doesn't have to be Marvel. You don't have anybody saying, you know what? Let's help bring up this little guy.
Right.
Right.
I mean, isn't that the reason your whole entire comic book community is in the state it's in? Is that no one's reaching down with the ladder and saying, "Hey, let me help you out."
Right.
Exactly. You understand? So I mean, and that in and of itself is also another issue. Right. But I'm taking the conversation into a whole different area.
Okay. No. But it's a point. You're making a valid point. You are.
But at the same time, the problem that you run into is when you walk into a shop, how many racks and racks of $1 comics do you have that are all those Marvel DC books and nobody wanted from 2 months ago?
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, would I rather just have them those books hanging out there when I'm not moving? Why don't I just take them and put other books in its place? And this is where another shop comes in. This is Galaxy Comics. They have a wall of indie books that is bigger than their Marvel and DC section.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
So
it doesn't move for them, right? I mean, it doesn't move for them.
Yes.
Right. But we need to understand that they got to pay the rent too, right? They got to keep the lights on. And they can't do that with just our stuff, especially when there's no real consistency to the output of our books.
Well, listen, that they not just they have Funko Pops to keep the lights on, although that might be going away soon too.
Oh man.
So did you see that story?
Oh yeah, that's harsh.
A landfill like it's ET.
Listen, the lady who used to run Mattel went to prison for doing the very same thing with Barbie. I'm just saying, it wasn't just ET. So watch Toys That Made Us. the Barbie episode. You know,
but I mean, every time you go to a convention and you see walls of Funko Pops, and I see it like the show that we did, Still City, and there's multiple retailers with walls of Funko Pops, and every show is the same wall of Funko Pops because who's buying these things now? Do they move? Do they sell it all?
I don't. There's an oversaturation. I know there is.
I mean, when you have a product that covers every genre and every brand on the planet, how do you move that kind of product?
Hey, listen, if it's Dark Crystal, Labyrinth, if they eventually get Legend, I'm there.
Yeah.
I'll get those.
I'll buy a Darkness pop. Yeah, I'm there. Yeah. I got that.
But then we go back to the macro of the question. Will that keep Funko's lights on? Will you keep their lights on? Right?
Well, 30, 10, 15 bucks at a time, I guess, maybe.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is that if these things aren't selling, how do they keep their lights on? Who's the rich guy that's keeping Funko alive?
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, at one point they were saying Funko made more money as a company than the entire comic book market. This was, I think, a couple years ago.
I mean,
like they were making 1.2 billion, and the comic book market was making 900.
Is that? I mean, that can't be to consumers. That's just retailers buying up these things.
Probably
correct, right, and that's a level. Right, and that's a level of business that many independent creators don't understand. Mm-hmm. Right, too often their head is way down into the stuff that they're creating, and they don't see the rest of the world that's going on around them that they need to become a part of if they want to be financially successful. Right? You can put your book out there and bam, you did your thing. You know what I mean? You get that charge. All right, I made a comic. Great. Can you make another one? Can you sustain that?
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. And can you expand beyond that? And that's something that I think the three of us are at that level. We want to expand beyond that because we've been doing this more than 2 weeks.
Yeah. So just to roll back on the Kickstarter thing, my thought is as a store, why am I not embracing a customer and showing them that Kickstarter as something they may want? And then when they say, yeah, I'm going to go do that, and you tell them no, I'll order it to the store, and then you pay me when it comes in.
It's funny because I suggested that, right, when I was talking to one of the leads at Diamond. I remember, and I forget the guy's name, and I know his family owns a store in Texas. Mm-hmm. And I apologize. I'm sure if I look up Twitter, I'll find his name. But during the pandemic, I remember him saying that he got 2 programmers over there to find a way to implement Shopify through the Diamond system so that stores can utilize that.
Right.
And I'm like, dude, so if you're doing that, you're saying you couldn't have a crowdfunding platform before Zoop, before Crowdfunder even came out, right? You couldn't have your own crowdfunding platform where folks are putting together books and presenting it on the Diamond platform, if there was one, and getting it shipped directly to the store for their pull list.
Right.
So now when a store is saying their order, they're like, oh, we're getting 10 or 12 copies already over here that we're getting a bite of that we never even had to order. Let's put another 5 or 6 more on there.
Mm-hmm.
I have no problem sharing that bite with a retailer if Diamond was setting something like that up, because people wanting it.
But that's the good news about the not being a monopoly anymore. And just to rewind back to distribution, 2024, our guys from the north are opening up a warehouse in the United States.
Universal. Okay.
Yeah, so they will be able to ship to the United States in 2024. So now you're going to have 4 distributors, plus the smaller indie one. So
the boutique distributors that
Calderon
and I deal with already.
Right. So now you take those thoughts and ideas to these other guys and put it in front of them and say,
right.
You get a leg up on the big guy, and you put yourself in a position where you can be first.
if you don't innovate, sooner or later, somebody else is going to eat your lunch.
Yeah. And I think that like with the newer guys, they'll be more interested in those. Like I said, Lunar is full of people younger than us. Like I think their whole staff is in their 30s or 20s.
Interesting.
So they're surely prepped for new things coming down the line and aren't going to turn their nose up to it. But at the same time, I think that Diamond may or should be in that focus of getting younger.
Now, a lot of people don't know that Lunar is part of a larger conglomerate,
yes,
which is In Stock Trades, and what is it? I was going to say
DCBS.
DCBS, right? Even though they operate independently, they're all part of the same.
Well, they're all under the same umbrella.
Yeah. Right. So here they are. They're distributing books to retailers, but they're also distributing selling direct to consumer at sometimes a greater discount than what the shops are getting. So not everybody's ordering from Lunar.
I just got a huge shipment from them today.
And how's your store doing?
That's where I buy my books. That is my store.
So just to let everybody know, Lunar is currently on a 6-month hold on accepting new publishers.
Okay.
I should be talking to Universal in the next week or so.
So did Universal give any ideas to where they're going to be opening their U.S. warehouse?
They don't know where yet. I mean, you know real estate. So
yeah. So it's definitely not going to be in New York. So it's going to cost us shipping.
I mean, it'd probably be to their benefit. If you remember, GameFly, right?
Yeah.
When they first opened up, they only had one location. It was in the Midwest.
Right. That's probably the best. At least it's central, and
right.
You can hit both coasts.
Right. I mean, but I would assume that based on how those things go, they'll expand to something on the East Coast, something on the West Coast.
But then at the end of the day, it still falls on us, the independent publishers, to make sure that there's a large enough awareness of the book, so it sells when we're not there to hand sell the product.
Right. And like I said, I think that's where the videos and things come into play. And like you said, the newsletters going out. I mean, because you're not going to reach everybody. Like not everyone is on the TikTok and the YouTubes and the Reddits and things like that. So you still have to be able to capture that the thought process and the mind of someone just walking into that shop off the street. So I mean, posters, like what they call them, table cards or things like that at the counter can help too. Like when you're sending books out, probably you send that along with it to say, hey.
Right. Point of sale merchandise, right?
Yeah.
Shelf talkers, door clings.
Right.
Shit. I know they sell prints, for $30 and $40, but we all know those cost, less than a quarter to make.
Right.
You can get a stack printed up to send to a shop as well.
Right. So I mean, I think that where you're almost headed is how do you do a presentation or some kind of summit where you're bringing in readers also,
right? And
like I was saying before, is that if we want to do this, we do it in the fashion that we get everyone's input. So you're inviting people who like the people who are in charge of comics at Crowdfunder or Kickstarter or Indiegogo, and not only that, you bring in the printers
who are making the most money right now.
Yeah. So now you're talking to from beginning to end of the process. So you get everyone's input on how these things should go and where the gaps are.
Right. But that's a perfect world.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, Rome wasn't built in a day. It took 3 days.
Right. And we're still talking about a niche industry.
Yes.
Within the larger publishing industry,
Well,
of which earlier on in the year, it was being reported by Penguin Random House themselves, that a small portion of the books that they publish are the actual revenue generators, and the larger majority, they're just there. They're there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I was listening to Talon Carpenter, right, and he was talking about how he works at a book company. He said most books sell 300 copies.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There you go. That's it.
Right.
They sell 300 copies.
Well, you're the one that told me the other day, Eric Larson's Savage Dragon went from selling, in the tens of thousands to,
below 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Below 10. So, I mean, and, he's obviously a man of means, right?
Right.
And it's probably his very expensive hobby, although he does it all himself. So he's okay,
right.
Right. And he owns the company it comes out of.
I mean, the drop in sales could probably just correlate with the less comic shops also.
Well, of course.
Right.
But I mean, that's been an issue for the last 20 years.
Right. But I mean, you think and this is why, whenever anybody asks me about it, and I say that it's very similar to comics and movie theaters are very similar, because both of them are selling a product they didn't create and taking kind of a bath on the prices of the things, because you're selling something that is not at market value. A movie ticket is highs in the 12s or 15s. A movie ticket should be $40 or $50. Based on what it costs to show the movie. And if you do that, then you're not having to sell popcorn or Funko Pops to make ends meet at the store.
Well, I mean, we're in New York. A movie ticket is probably close to that. It's like 20. Right. In some places, if you go to the IMAX, it's probably closer to 25, 30. Right.
But you think about it, is that they're still not, the studio's taking most of that cut, which is why popcorn, you got to take a loan out to buy a popcorn and a drink.
Right.
They've got loan. I think when you go in, they hand you a loan application for that when you get there. But I mean, you're selling something not at market value, and you're selling something that's pretty much disposable. Movies are disposable now. They might have not have been a long time ago, but they are now, because there's too many of them. You're releasing too many movies. You're releasing too many comics, so it's all disposable. And if something's disposable, like a lighter, when you run out of fluid, how many people refill the lighter? They fill it out, right?
But here's the problem with disposable comics, right? Is that you have too many of them being produced, and they're $5 a pop.
Yes.
And when they're $5 a pop, they're no longer disposable because they're a little bit too expensive to be disposable. Well, when I was paying 35, 40, 50 cents a comic when I was a kid,
yeah.
Even back then, you could be like, it's 50 cents, right? But now it's $5. You get 4 of those, it's $20, so on and so forth.
But I mean, is that still the same mindset of it? Because if it wasn't, then you could sell so it's weird that someone is willing would say, how much is that print? And you say $15, and they say okay. But if I tell them my comic is $20, they look a little weird and I don't know. So I mean, that has to play into that disposable nature of that product.
Well, here's one that's even weirder. You say the print is $15 or $20, right? And they were like, "Oh, how much is the comic?" It's $5, and they still look at you weird, right? They still look at you like, I don't know, right?
Yeah.
And that I think comes with the fact that we don't have that level of history behind us. Like I was just saying, for Marvel and DC, like I said, I can say a majority of what they produce is not very good, but they do have a history of having, they, like I said, they got Frank Miller and Alan Moore, Neil Gaiman, and all these other guys.
They got them now?
Well, they had them.
The market has changed, and that's one of the things we need to remember. And because of our age, and there's something I said on your show the other day, because of our age, we lie too much on what we remember as opposed to what's currently going on today, right? And here's Comicspro. Was there anybody there from Webtoons at all?
No, but Webtoons came up continuously as something that people were talking about. It's on people's minds. So you may see
Webtoons
a few of those
generated,
kind of things popping up pretty soon.
yeah, they generated almost $900 million last year.
Mm-hmm.
I hate it whenever you bring that up, because I'm going to tell you why. Because barely an infinitesimal amount of that money went to the creators.
Yeah. Doesn't matter whether
it does matter. It does matter. It matters to me, because I don't give a shit about some schmuck wearing a suit in Korea or wherever the hell they come from. Screw them. I don't give a shit about them, bro. I don't care. I care about Marvin. I care about you. I care about me. I don't give a shit about some schmuck in Korea.
But whether they got that money or not, does it change the fact that as a whole, that company made 900 bills, bro?
What does it matter to me? Walmart made $30 billion last year. What does that matter to me?
Because what it matters is that's where people are spending their money.
No, that's where they're getting ad revenue. Nobody's spending their money over there. What is there to buy? They're giving the shit away for free.
They're getting ad revenue. Why? Why are they getting the ad revenue?
They have eyeballs. Why? Because there you go. A bunch of suckers named creators have given them that ability, and that's the problem.
No,
creators have to stop giving those people that ability.
Bro, business today looks at eyeballs. That's why the Jenner clan makes money on nothing else than the Jenner name. People, I don't like it. I hate that. But unfortunately, it's a fact of how they do business. Mm-hmm. You tell me why Success Magazine has had 3 of the Jenner clan gracing the cover of their magazine.
Who?
Success Magazine. It's a business magazine.
No, I know the magazine. Who are these people you're talking about?
Exactly.
And why do they matter?
Exactly. And you're illustrating my
point. TV.
Right? We're not looking at all the factors. We're not. Because we are still people that have our heads dived deep down into our books, creating stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, and this is how you create quality comics.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. You can create a quality comic, but are you going to be able to sell it before you're dead?
I've been selling for 20 years.
He's selling those hot dogs. He's out on the street. I know.
Exactly. I'm out there. I've been pimping for a long time, bro.
No, I want to keep selling it. I do. Yeah. I do. All right.
Now I don't want to be. The thing is, here. Look. Okay. The reason I'm giving you so much grief over it, right, is because my thing is always, how does it affect me, right? Me personally, right? Because I don't care about abstractions. Some dude making 900, that's nice for them. God bless, right? It's like you hear the guy that won $1 billion in the lotto in California. No, well, some dude did. And you know what? Good for him. I don't really care. Doesn't affect me any, right? Okay. So the question is, though, is like, how can we affect change, right? How can we get more of our books into stores? That's why I asked the question. What is it what the retailers were coming at you with? What are their concerns? What are they looking for? What do they want? What do they think is going to sell? And even then, I got to be honest with you, I'm not that concerned about what they think is going to sell, because they'll just tell you it's going to be either Cthulhu or more big-breasted comics. So,
I mean, I think that where it is, it's going to be a different answer across the board, and that's what pretty much we were getting, is that this sells, and everyone who did a presentation, it seemed like, had a new horror book,
right?
And you're deep diving into that, and that bubble's going to burst, and then you're going to be right. So I think that the one thing that is very important is communication. Open lines of communication with the retailers of everything you've got coming, and that was probably what we dug out of that was, let us know what's going on. Let us know what you got. Let us know. Tell us. Send us a newsletter.
Communication is always the key in business.
Right. Mm-hmm. So letting the people know what's coming allows them time to order. So they were saying is that don't wait until don't wait until FOC, final order cutoff, to let us know that the book is there. As soon as it's in previews, or as soon as it's in whatever, as soon as you have it in your hands, ready to go, let us know.
Okay.
That way we have time to make a decision, and it's not 0 hour when we're putting in our orders for our Marvel and DC stuff, and we go, oh yeah, remember when so and so talked about this book? So I mean, just hitting send is going to be your biggest weapon. And the other part is the quality of your title. Is that a lot of people want to see PDFs. They want to see previews of those books, and someone will want to make a decision right. Oh, this looks good. I'm going to order some. But again, it's about the reorder also.
Right. Well, and here's the thing though: is Marvel is Diamond honoring reorders? Right? Is Diamond actually putting those invoices through now?
Right. So because that was another one that came, another thought that came up, and I'm going to probably say no, because a lot of them were saying is that a lot of people, like when they get their order, their PO back, they're only ordering that many books. Right. So if the store said, all right, we're going to do an initial order of 25, and that's all they order, they ain't getting no more.
Right. And that's a problem.
Right.
So that's a serious problem.
Right.
Stephen Bissett from Tyrant, the comic book Tyrant, stopped doing that book once he knew Diamond took over, because he knew his business model, because he would be able to order, I don't know, he was printing 25,000 copies, selling 12 like the initial month, and then he would relist every month after with all the different distributors, and he knew he'd be able to cycle through all those books in 3 or 4 months.
Right.
But once Diamond took over, he knew that was over.
Right.
Right. And I mean, you know, how do you go? I mean, this is Stephen R. Bissett, right? And I mean, you know, he went from selling 25,000 books to be like, I'm done.
Right. So, I mean, and I think that this is where that direct to store thing comes into play, is that as a publisher, I've got extra copies sitting around.
Right.
Right.
So why not, instead of you reordering with the distributor, come to me and we can do business. Right. And then we're kind of like almost in the mode of just removing the middleman from the process. And now,
which is what they don't want, because that's their proprietary information, is being
right. But if the store knows that you're out there, because your information is all in that front cover of that book, they have the means to contact you on Facebook,
right,
Instagram, Twitter, your email account, go to your website and send an email. So now they know who you are. They know how to get in contact with you. If they want more books, who do they go to?
Right. But here's the problem, and this goes back to Jay's original I don't know, scenario, right? A lot of partners in that bed. You know, people get tired, right? Yeah. So because you know, you got to figure they got to order through Diamond, and they're probably the really good retailers are ordering from several distributors.
Yeah.
Diamond, Penguin Random House, Lunar, and then they're also ordering through several, like maybe a toy distributor and a couple of other, you know, for role-playing game distributors,
yep.
Right? So they're ordering through all these different distributors. And then they're going to say, okay, well, I'm going to order some from this independent guy, this independent guy, this independent guy. Right. At what point does it become too many independent guys? Right? Is it the 30th guy? You know, and then I'm the 31st guy?
Right.
So I'll pass out?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, that's going to happen too, is that you're going to burn someone out, which is why a lot of them don't want to get emailed. Like, I get 100 emails. Right. I opened one and I was like, I'm done.
Right. You can't even talk to that person.
Right. So I mean, and this is where the Comicspro comes into play, where you've got a captive audience, and now you can reach all these people at once with your product. And more than likely, because we got a lot of advance orders from the Comicspro. So I mean, it's this continuously. You're juggling so much stuff. And as a person that's producing something, you got to make a decision on how you want to get it in front of someone. And like he's saying that he got Diamond rejected his book I don't know why every time I rejected this book. I mean, they seem to be very, very happy with getting a lot of products, but I mean, don't to be discouraged.
Jay, pull that up.
I mean, you've got other options.
That's exactly. This is Xing Sin, a friend of all of us here, and he says that's exactly what I have to do is keep getting new relationships with local comic shops. Diamond rejected Symphonic Verses, so I make the books available to retailers and offer each store exclusives.
Right. And I think Comicspro will be perfect for him because he has a relationship with a lot of stores, including Jen King, who started the Plan C, and she was there, and she's very friendly. I mean, we had a really good time because everyone was so inviting and so friendly. Like we were no jerks.
All right. So to wrap this all up, Marvin, would you do it again next year, even if it's not in Pittsburgh?
We've already planned to do it next year.
Okay. Calderon.
What? Yes.
Would you do it next year, no matter where it's at?
No.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm not there just yet.
Right.
I'm not there just yet.
And for what I have going down, I'm not there just yet. That does not mean things can change, and I may jump at it. There's that possibility, but right now at this
moment, I would say that even if you're not willing to go in person, since I'm pretty sure they're going to use the app again, so you can go through the app, and have all that data available to you.
Okay,
that's cool. That's cool.
Well, and like I said, is that it's to our benefit, to all the independent guys out there, to keep following, because we're going to have to do this eventually. Right. We need to set the road for everyone else, and I don't want to be that person that has all this information stored up in here that I can't get to everyone else.
Right. And there's a hell of a lot more that needs to be unpacked that we can do right here in an hour.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I mean, like I said, is that once I get to talk with Hoover, I mean, I'll find out what the cost is going to be, and we'll see how much it's going to cost for everyone to join in, and we can get together and spend a few hours with whoever wants to be involved and just talk it through. I don't want to be like the guy in charge of everything.
Right.
I'll kick the door.
That's it, Marvin. You've been elected. You're in charge.
Yes.
I'll kick the door in.
Everybody in favor, raise your hand.
Yeah. Oh my God, look at all those hands going up in the chat. Marvin, you're stuck, baby. You've been elected because you know what?
Well, like I said, I'll kick the door in, but you guys got to cover the corners. I can't see everywhere.
There you go, Marvin. But those of us who know you, those of us who've been doing this for a minute, know how much networking you've done, right? Yeah. A lot of people, even if they don't know they're using your list, they're using your list, right?
Yeah. And I'm actually, based on Comicspro, going to expand that by another 100 to 200 stores now.
God damn, son.
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, I like and just in closing is that, I mean, I want to share everything I know. I don't want to charge people for information. I mean, I want to share it freely, and eventually I'll get a website up that's going to have all this data on it. But I have to create, and a lot of this stuff takes time away from creating, and I'm bottled up with stories I need to do.
I mean, one of the things I think we need to find and maybe impress on some of the smaller distributors that we're dealing with is that they need to get into that reorder system, because there was a company, I forgot the name of it, it was probably 15, 20 years ago. They were around and they were doing reorders because they knew how terrible Diamond was, but they still didn't have access to Marvel and DC for those reorders. So they just couldn't compete because they were just dealing with the indies, and they just didn't have the revenue. Right.
We need to look into distributors like Fair that sell to stores that are not just comic book shops, right? Because if we are solely dependent on the LCS as our only stream of revenue, we're all going to be competing for the same dollar, and we're not all going to be here.
Right. Well, I mean, we talked about that before, and like we're going to approach a pizza shop because they carry games. So, I mean, I would just walk the neighborhood and just walk in and say, hey, would you guys be mind if I put some comics up in your store?
There you go. There you go.
Why not? All they can do is tell you no and ask you to buy something.
Right.
Right.
Right. So you buy. Damn, I was gonna say you buy some 25-cent juicy fruit, but it's not 25 cents anymore.
So this is my new obsession, TikTok. I just sit here and I TikTok most of the day because that keeps me from eating like real candy, and then I don't get sick of eating like celery sticks. They're disgusting.
Jesus Christ!
It's just almost $2 now.
So we can't talk about that. Calderon and I are gonna get sick. But guys, before we cut out of here, I want to talk about something that I'm doing right now. And for those of us,
are you really doing something?
I am doing something.
Are you?
And if you see the bottom, there's a little ticker tape. Yes, I am doing something. All right.
Okay.
And next Saturday,
I was gonna launch that day.
You are?
No.
What are you gonna launch? What are you gonna launch?
Listen, I got something to show. Look.
Oh,
I'm fulfilling, baby. I'm fulfilling.
Oh, very nice.
I'm fulfilling.
Nice.
I'm fulfilling.
Look at that in the middle of fulfillment. Somebody's actually doing business while talking business. I love that. I love that. Very good.
Look at that. Fulfilling, baby.
Those game cards.
These are trading cards. So these are like stretch goals. This is a sticker and then a bunch of trading cards, and then like there's one big image for the 4 cards.
Nice.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. So I mean, hopefully by the middle of this week I'll be done, and in another couple of weeks we might be seeing Oswald up on Kickstarter again.
Very nice. Well, coming up on Kickstarter for me,
yes,
it's going to be this bad boy right here, Limbo. If you join us next Saturday at 8:00, we're going to be live streaming the launch of this full-color dark fantasy comic produced by Gabriel Gamora, Francisco Maldonado, and Champion Ramirez. The very first book that I'm publishing, that wasn't created by me solely. So if you join us here next Saturday, we're going to have fun. These guys will be back. And if you were with us at the last Kickstarter launch for the Vicky Sticks comic book, you know that we had certain giveaways. And we're going to be coming back with those giveaways. So there are going to be 2 very special giveaways that will include chromium covers, holochrome covers, and red foil covers. Okay, so there will be 2 sets of holochrome covers. Wow, thank you for the background music. I love it. There's gonna be a set of holochrome covers, and there's gonna be a set of red foil covers that are going to be given away to 2 random backers on launch night. All right. So if you want to get your hands on this, all you got to do is back the project. All you got to do is be a physical backer. A digital backer is just going to get a digital copy of one of our trades. But if you want your hands on these bad boys, which a set goes for $100, you can win it. All you got to do is back on the first night. And guess what? There's going to be less people on the first night. So your chance at winning would be greater than it would be at the end of the campaign. So please join us next Saturday here, Jay the Unstoppable, where we're hanging out. We're going to have a couple of bombistas while we celebrate the launch of Liberty. Jesus Christ. Oh my God, that thing has been on my head too long this week. As we launch Limbo, Open Almost All Eternity, #1.
Where your brain is.
I know, dude. I'm sorry, Marvin. Right now, Jose and I should have been sitting on, close to $1 million. But it was a distribution deal that never existed. So we're not going to be talking about that anymore, even though it flares up every so often. So join us here next Saturday, please, 8:00. We're going to be launching this book. We're going to be having fun. We're going to have some of the creators here with us. And I hope you join us, man. This is going to be a solid book. I wouldn't be putting out anything that I do not think is entertaining myself. So if it's coming out under the Unstoppable Comics label, you're going to get your money's worth. All right?
Very nice.
Well, we get out of here. Calderon, where can they find you?
Tomorrow night, they can find me here on YouTube. Indie Comics Explained with that guy.
Moi deep? Moi?
Yes.
Moi? Yeah,
You
boy.
a comics bird guy on your show tomorrow.
Really? Who?
Really weird.
Oh,
Well,
Grant?
tell us, Marvin, where can they find you?
In about less than an hour, I'll be on Spine Ticks here on YouTube. And beyond that, you can find me on the interwebs at Marvin Wynn and at the Edge Comic.
Nice. And you can find me at Unstoppable Comics or right here at Jay the Unstoppable on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. You know, these things are getting live fed all at the same time. So please come on through, hang out with us, and good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for showing up.